News, talk, music, get it all
24 hours
on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar.
WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's 6 p.m. in Dakar, 7 o'clock in Lagos. Good evening and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Ghana's President Mahama pledges swift prosecution for financial misconduct by public officials to curb corruption.
Persons who are found guilty of infractions or do not follow due procedure or lead to loss of public resources, we must have a fast-track process to Nsawam. Fast-track, before you see you in Nsawam, 6 months.
Fuel scarcity looms in parts of Mali due to rising attacks on supply tankers by fighters from JNIM. And second edition of the Invest in Senegal Forum concludes in Dakar with calls for sustainable investment in West Africa.
West Africa should be viewed as an interconnected ecosystem, abundant in natural resources. Our goal is to attract investments that can make a meaningful difference in the lives of its people, particularly focusing on youth, women, and rural communities.
Nigerian government targets 100 million children in a major vaccination drive against measles and polio. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more in the next section.
Christopher Aticho with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast and a warm welcome to our listeners within the sub-region and beyond. The third edition of Newslink begins in Senegal as the second edition of the Invest in Senegal Forum concluded today. This event brought together decision makers and investors from around the world. The forum focuses on opportunities in several sectors, including agro-industry, green energy, and digital technology, among others. Abdullah Hassan tells us more in this report.
During his speech, the Senegalese president emphasized the need for a new approach to invest in Senegal. Bassirou Diomaye Faye highlighted Senegal's strength as a destination for sustainable investment.
Senegal is strategically positioned to foster an investment-friendly environment. As a stable nation with a strong democratic tradition, we prioritize transparent governance and place the fight against corruption at the forefront of our national agenda. The country offers undeniable strengths and a wealth of diverse economic opportunities for investors across key sectors such as infrastructure, agriculture, energy, industries, tourism, craftsmanship, and digital technology.
Several West African leaders are taking part in the event. President Omar Sissoko Embalo of Guinea-Bissau is advocating for an inclusive investment model.
West Africa should be viewed as an interconnected ecosystem, abundant in natural resources. Our goal is to attract investments that can make a meaningful difference in the lives of its people, particularly focusing on youth, women, and rural communities.
The Confederation of Sahel States, AES, is also represented at the forum. Jean-Emmanuel Ouedraogo, Prime Minister of Burkina Faso, is calling for fairer partnerships with investors to benefit African populations.
It is important to ensure that investment does not become just another name for exploitation. Unfortunately, when people are subjected to certain conditions, particularly under the constraints of unfair agreements, the country's wealth inevitably fails to benefit its citizens, its sons and daughters.
The second edition of the Invest in Senegal Forum concludes this Wednesday. This year, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is the guest of honor.
Abdullah Hassan filed that report. Away from Senegal, let's get to the Central Sahel region, particularly in Burkina Faso, where 7 workers from an NGO, including some French nationals, have been arrested by the transitional government. The employees of a Dutch NGO, ENSO, are accused of espionage and illegally collecting security-related information. Addressing a press conference in Ouagadougou, the Burkinabe Minister of Security, Mahamadou Sana, revealed that the organization had been illegally collecting information about Burkina Faso and storing it abroad for various reasons. Listen to the Burkinabe Minister for Security, Mahamadou Sana.
INSO parvenait à recenser soigneusement les itinéraires.
INSO meticulously documented the routes, movement, and composition of military convoys and supplied transport intended to remain confidential for the sake of national defense. It systematically catalogued the military resources deployed to secure a specific convoy, gathering details on the number of personnel, vehicles, heavy weaponry, motorcycles, and other elements.
De motos, etc.
All individuals involved who have been apprehended will be brought before the FASO prosecutor on charges of espionage and treason in accordance with the provisions of Article 311(4).
And that is the Burkinabe Minister for Security, Mahamadou Sana. Still staying a while longer in the Central Sahel region, particularly in Mali, fuel scarcity is gradually looming in the country. Now, since Monday, gas stations in the country's capital, Bamako, have been overwhelmed by dozens of people trying to get a few liters to carry out their activities. This unprecedented situation comes as fuel supply routes have been cut off due to attacks on tanker trucks by the Group for the Support of Islam and Muslims, JNIM. In the wake of this fuel shortage, the authorities are reassuring the public that measures are being taken to continue supplying the country with hydrocarbons. During a press briefing on Tuesday, Soumaïla Jite, the Deputy Director of General of Trade, Consumer Affairs and Competition, highlighted some efforts implemented by the government to control the situation.
What has been observed on the ground when we look at overall findings from observation missions, we can safely say that there are sufficient quantities of fuel available to supply the country for a certain number of days, while waiting for the competent authorities to implement the necessary measures. I can also say that the DGCC and OMAP are institutions that will continue to monitor the situation and, above all, provide accurate information regardless of how the country's fuel supply situation evolves. This is an opportunity for me, on behalf of the highest authorities, to thank the population for their patience, patriotism, and especially their spirit of resilience in the face of a situation that I emphasize is only temporary and will soon be resolved through the actions taken by the authorities.
Soumaïla Jite is the Deputy Director General of Trade, Consumer Affairs and Competition in Mali. Away from the Central Sahel region but to Guinea, on some election-related issues, the General Directorate of Elections has established 2 commissions to oversee the sponsorships and campaign expenses for the presidential election scheduled for December 28, 2025. The announcement was made on Tuesday by the Directorate General of Elections head, Jenabu Toure Kamara. According to her, the first commission will handle the reception and validation of candidate endorsement, while the second commission will focus on financial oversight, setting both the mandatory deposit amount for candidates and the spending ceiling for the campaign period. According to Toure Kamara, these commissions will will contribute to the smooth running of the campaign and elections. More details with Augustin Colley.
Speaking at the press briefing in Conakry, Jenabu Toure, the Director General of Elections, detailed the creation of 2 key commissions that will oversee critical aspects of the pre-electoral process. The first commission, she explained, will handle the reception and validation of candidate endorsements, a crucial mechanism designed to verify the authenticity and eligibility of presidential hopefuls. This process aims to ensure that only credible candidates with legitimate public backing are cleared to contest. The second commission will focus on financial oversight, setting both the mandatory deposit amount for candidates and the spending ceiling for the campaign period. The General Directorate of Elections says this measure is intended to promote fair competition and limit the influence of money in politics. In a memorandum addressed to political parties and independent aspirants, the Directorate urged all those intending to run to designate an official representative and submit a letter of solemn commitment affirming their compliance with electoral laws and ethical campaign standards. According to the directive, all required documents must be submitted to the DGE by Wednesday, marking a critical deadline in the run-up to the polls. These developments come just 2 weeks after transitioning President General Mamadi Doumbouya officially set the election date, signaling a key step towards restoring civilian rule and concluding Guinea's political transition.
Augustine qualified that report.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Let me take you to Ghana, where President John Dramani Mahama has vowed to crack down on public sector corruption, promising swift prosecution for those found guilty of misusing state funds. Speaking at the 12th Annual Conference of Chairpersons of Governing Boards, Councils, Chief Directorates or Directors and Chief Executives of the Public Service Commission in the Wadr region, President Mahama expressed concern over recurring instances of financial mismanagement reviewed during Public Accounts Committee sittings, stressing that individuals responsible for financial infractions or reckless spending would face justice, warning that accountability would no longer be delayed.
When you leave office, you must be able to hold your head high. Wake up in the morning and not fear that anybody will call you to come and account for anything because you did things the way you should have done them. Recently, I've been watching the Public Accounts Committee, and it's so pathetic. Why must we every year congregate at the Public Accounts Committee, and then you hear all kinds of atrocious, things? I mean, recklessness with public funds and resources. And so I have a meeting on Thursday with the Chief Justice, the Attorney General, and others to find a final solution to this Auditor General's report. That persons who are found guilty of infractions or do not follow due procedure or lead to loss of public resources, we must have a fast-track process to Nsawam. Fast-track, before you see you in Nsawam, 6 months. Until we do that, until there's a deterrent, we're going to come every year and they say total misappropriation and infractions of found out by the Auditor General is about 15 billion cedis. I mean, if we save 15 billion cedis, can you imagine what it could do?
And that Ghana's President John Dramani Mahama. Still in Ghana, the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS, has carried out a major raid in Abosso in the western region, dismantling a well-known Galamsey hub dubbed Gangway. The intelligence-led operations conducted on Sunday, October 5, as part of a renewed government effort to stamp out illegal mining and restore law and order in mining communities. From Accra, Nadi Tete reports.
The National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS, recently acted on intelligence to carry out a targeted operation in the Gangway area of Abosso, successfully clearing the crime-prone site. Officers dismantled numerous makeshift structures that were being used for illegal mining, gambling and drug trading. Additionally, they seized various mining tools linked to the exploitation and degradation of local waterways and land. At a recent meeting between President John Mahama and civil society groups regarding the Galamsey crisis, NIMOS Operations Director Colonel Dominic Boa reiterated the agency's zero-tolerance approach.
I would like to send this warning to illegal miners, their assigns and financiers, that they are the first or prime enemies of the state and they will be dealt with as such. There will be no room for them to escape or to hide. NIMOS will smoke them out very soon. Our waters will turn blue and our forests will turn green. So all illegal miners, galamseyers, their financiers and assigns, beware.
In a related operation, teams en route to Gangway also carried out raids in a Darren dumping corridor of Takwa and Swaim. During these operations, authorities confiscated 15 water pumping machines and a generator, destroyed 3 shamfangs, and dismantled several other devices used in illegal mining. NIMOS has stated that these raids are part of an ongoing effort across the western region and other key areas and bring stability to affected communities. For WADR, Nadidi Tete, Accra.
You're still listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. We are also live on Facebook at WADR English Service and on YouTube at WADR News. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Ghana's President Mahama pledges swift prosecution for financial misconduct by public officials to combat or curb corruption. Fuel scarcity looms in parts of Mali due to rising attacks on supply tankers by fighters from JNIM. And second edition of Invest in Senegal Forum concludes in Dakar with calls for sustainable investment in West Africa. Still ahead in the news, Nigerian government target 100 million children in a major vaccination drive against measles and polio. We do have the guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Let me take you to Nigeria at the moment, where the country has embarked on one of its most extensive vaccination campaign, aiming to immunize more than 100 million children against measles, rubella, and polio. This large-scale initiative also seeks to bolster efforts to eradicate preventable childhood diseases throughout West Africa and the Central Africa. Backed by key partners such as the World Health Organization, UNICEF, Gavi, Wadr International, and the Africa CDC, the campaign marks a significant stride towards advancing universal health coverage across the region. WADR's Usman Umar report from Abuja.
The nationwide campaign launched in Abuja this week is a renewed push to protect children from preventable diseases. It targets children aged 0 to 14 for measles and rubella and those under 5 for polio. Phase 1 of the rollout covers 20 high-risk northern states and Oyo in the southwest, while the second phase will begin in January 2026 to reach the remaining 15 states. Health workers will use fixed posts, outreach sites and door-to-door visits to ensure no child is left behind. Muhammad Ali Pate is Nigeria's Minister of Health and Social Development.
The children that we vaccinate, the families that we reach, and the trust that we build in our country are what will help deliver the renewed hope promise to our fellow Nigerians and define the legacy, the health legacy of an entire generation.
The event drew government officials, international partners, community leaders, religious and traditional rulers, including the wife of the president, Oluremi Tinubu, all of whom pledged to support the campaign's success.
With this vaccine, our children will be protected against 2 deadly diseases and enjoy a lifetime of safety and protection.
The integrated campaign combines other essential child health services such as malaria prevention and treatment for neglected tropical diseases. It forms part of Nigeria's broader primary health care under one roof strategy and aligns with regional coordination efforts involving neighboring countries in the Lake Chad Basin. The cross-border initiative aims to end active outbreaks of poliovirus and measles by 2025 and eliminate residual risks by 2026. Health authorities say Nigeria's model, linking multiple health interventions under a single drive, offers a blueprint for other ECOWAS member states confronting similar health challenges. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
The Liberian government has moved to strengthen the Drug Enforcement Agency with new vehicles to tackle ongoing drug trafficking issues. The 15 specially equipped patrol vehicles were handed over by President Joseph Boakai to the Liberian Drug Enforcement Agency on Tuesday. This development follows repeated calls by the agency, who have long highlighted the lack of logistical support as a major obstacle in addressing Liberia's growing role as a key transit point for illicit drugs. WADR's Abraham Parker reports in this package.
Liberia's strategic geographic position, combined with its porous borders and insufficient infrastructure, has turned it into a favored transit point for drug traffickers smuggling narcotics from South America and other regions to Europe and North America. During the handing over ceremony, President Bouaka emphasized his administration's strong resolve to tackle drug trafficking and substance abuse as key priorities.
We look forward to you ahead making sure that this institution works because it has a lot of bearing on the country's progress. The vehicles here are given to show you how much we respect who you are and how much we think about what you will use them to do.
Drug dealers have exploited Liberia's weak enforcement and corruption to traffic drugs, worsening addiction, crime, and public health issues. LDEA acting boss Fitzgerald Biako has made notable confiscations since his appointment, though challenges such as logistics remain.
This additional support will just provide additional support to our strategists already, but it's not new to us. We're not just on logistics, but also intelligence, commitment, and discipline.
The newly acquired 15 vehicles should enable agents to respond more swiftly to intelligence reports, carry out patrols in remote regions, and efficiently track down drug traffickers. Nonetheless, numerous citizens have emphasized that improved logistical support alone cannot fully resolve the issue. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
This evening on our guest interview segment, we are zooming in on Dakar, the bustling capital of opportunity, where the second edition of the Invest in Senegal Forum wrapped up today. The forum attracted a powerhouse lineup of global investors and decision makers, all eyeing Senegal's booming sectors, agro-industry, green energy, digital tech, and more. With Senegal fast emerging as a key player in sustainable development and innovation across West Africa, the big question is what's next for its economic future? To break it all down, we are joined by Professor Fallou Sam, the chairman of the Africa Trade Policy Institute.
I guess that you can assess the impact of this by one quantitative element and then through three qualitative elements. The quantitative element is the number of delegates. We have more than 10,000 delegates that have been registered. Among them, 4,000 to 5,000 are investors and business people in various sectors. So the very impact of having value addition in terms of transportation, in terms of hotel, in terms of tourism, and in terms of all the expenditures that those people will do in Senegal is a value addition to the national economy. On the very issue of investment, I guess you can assess also the success against three elements. Number one, the Senegal is engaged not only in the Vision 2050, but also in a recovery plan that the Prime Minister has already presented, and also which is now undergone a large major coverage in Senegal and outside. So the main feature of this plan is to have androgenic funding from Senegalese here and from Senegalese abroad. That's why we have the diaspora bonds that the Prime Minister and the ministers, the relevant minister presented 2 or 3 weeks ago in Italy, and that are also been launched. Number two, Senegal is part of ECOWAS region. And in ECOWAS, we have a community investment code that we call ECOWIC. And this has to really make the full of its prospect. And we expect by this meeting, we have the ECOWAS Commission here. We also have the Association for Investment Promotion Agencies that are also here. And they will be conducting a roundtable, specific roundtable. And we think that in terms of scale of economies, Senegal could also benefit from the impact in the overall West African region in ECOWAS. Number three is the overall African is also, since 2023, adopted protocol on investment through the AFCFTA. the African Continental Free Trade Area. And that protocol on investment is yet to really yield its own expectation and objectives. This forum will give like an opportunity for the AFCFTA to really communicate and to really appeal to the public in order to implement in optimum way the protocol on investment.
How might increase the investment in sectors like agro-industry and green energy influence Senegal's GDP growth?
Yeah, I mean, sectorally, I mean, you have like five, less than, let's say, a dozen of sectors that are really at the core of the transformational agenda that we have in the recovery plan. You have agribusiness, you have pharmaceutical, you have services, and namely the fintech and all the related ICTs. You have also fishery, and you have mining, and you have oil and gas. You have infrastructure. So all of those have been pinpointed in the very invitation and also in the very designing of the session and roundtables in a way to make sure that really after this we'll have a lot of pledge. And I guess that even before the conference, we have like more than $6,000 pledge in terms of investment thanks to this forum.
You did mention earlier that about 5,000 of the delegates are investors. That prompted me to ask, what role do international investors, for example, play in shaping Senegal's sectoral priorities and the economy as a whole?
Internal policy and external policy. Senegal is by tradition open country. Usually you have like the former colonizer France, but investment FDI from France have been taken over by China, and you have more and more FDI from Turkey, from all the BRICS countries, the emerging countries, and you have also investment from the Arab countries. So the Prime Minister just concluded a tour in the Arab countries. So really, we have a very diversified portfolio of investment that really will make sure that we are not tied to one country or to one sector, but we want to make sure that all partners are welcome, and we'll try to make the best of it.
Professor Fallou Sam is the chairman of the African Trade Policy Institute. And in sports this evening, Augustine Colley joins me. Augustine, what's the latest?
Good evening, Chris. Yes, there are interesting results coming out of the FIFA World Cup African qualifying matches so far. Ethiopia caused a surprise at-home win, 1-0 victory over Guinea-Bissau, jeopardizing the Jutos' hopes of qualifying from Group D matches for the FIFA World Cup 2026. Cameroon took a significant step towards qualification by beating Mauritius 2-0 in St. Pierre. Eswatini came close to victory in Mbambari before being caught by a determined Angolan side after a first half dominated by the Palancas Negras. Justice Figueiredo capitalized on two defensive errors to give the home side a 2-goal lead. However, the draw sealed Angola's fate as they were now out of the running for the World Cup qualification. Cape Verde salvaged a valuable point in Benghazi after a spectacular 3-3 draw against tenacious Libyan side. And I know you're also concerned about other results, so
yes.
Ghana defeated Central African Republic 5-0. Burkina Faso defeated Sierra Leone 1-0 in that match played in Monrovia. Mali defeated Chad 2-0. Like I said, Angola and Eswatini drew. And Egypt defeated Djibouti 3-0. And coming up tonight, Tanzania will face Zambia. Niger will face Congo so far. But tomorrow, Kenya will face Burundi. Liberia will face Namibia. Guinea will play Mozambique. Algeria will face Somalia. Botswana will face Uganda. Malawi will play Equatorial Guinea. And on Friday, there are more to come. Gabon playing Gambia, Togo, and the DRC.
Yeah, we'll also see Nigeria be in action against Lesotho as well.
Very well, very well.
But I guess I'm very happy.
Of course, and congratulations to the Ghanaian guys, the Black Stars.
5-0. That's nice. Thank you very much, Augustine Colley, with the latest in the world of sports. And with that, we've come to the edition of this evening's bulletin of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. Special thanks to you for doing the listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Ismaila Kamara for the technical assistance. Do interact with us on all of our social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR English, and on Facebook at WADR English Service. I am Christopher Aticho. Good evening and enjoy the rest of our broadcasts.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New Me FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Nibe County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia, Radio Baf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria, and Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.